Mazda's been quietly fine-tuning the CX-30 year after year, but all signs point to 2026 being the one worth waiting for. If you're looking for the sweet spot between value, performance, and future-proof tech, patience might just pay off. Hello everyone, this is Scott from CarlandTV. It's time to hop in the front seat because today, I'm breaking down why holding out for the 2026 CX-30 might be the smartest move you make this year. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below. The subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now, buckle up, and let's get back to the video. You get a feel for a car the moment you pull it out of the lot. With the CX-30, that feel is tight, composed, and just a little bit sharper than the rest of the pack. It drives like a Mazda should, firm steering, crisp throttle response, and a chassis that actually wants to rotate when you lean into a curve. This isn't just another soft, upright crossover. It's got some teeth. I've had time behind the wheel of both the naturally aspirated and turbo models. Even the base 2.5 feels well-matched to city driving and highway cruising, though the turbo really transforms it into something special. That 250 horsepower on premium fuel doesn't just help with merging or uphill pulls. It gives the CX-30 real confidence without ever feeling twitchy or overdone. What surprised me more was how quiet the cabin is, especially compared to others in this price range. No rattles, no cheap plastics buzzing on rough roads, and no sloppy body roll when you push it through a bend. Mazda's design language also gives it an edge. That Kodo styling still turns heads, especially in Soul Red or Polymetal Gray. Inside, the layout feels smart and driver-focused. Every dial, screen, and switch has just enough resistance to feel solid. And you're getting a lot for the money. Standard safety tech, solid infotainment, and materials that honestly outclass half the compact luxury crowd. Knowing how refined the 2025 model already is, it makes you wonder just how far Mazda is going to take it in 2026. All signs point to something even tighter, more efficient, and better equipped. And if that happens, it's going to be a serious problem for every other brand in the segment. Talk to anyone who's been tracking Mazda's recent moves and you'll notice a pattern. The company's been quietly investing in hybrid and mild hybrid tech, not just in their global lineup, but in what's trickling into the US market. That's why so many of us are watching the 2026 CX-30 closely. There's strong reason to believe a new powertrain is on the way, either an upgraded Skyactiv G with mild hybrid support, or possibly a version of the 48-volt system Mazda already uses overseas, in models like the European market CX-60. I've driven the current CX-30 Turbo extensively, and while that 2.5-liter turbocharged engine is a blast, it's not the most fuel-efficient. It's quick, sure, but you pay for that power at the pump. A mild hybrid setup could be a game-changer. It wouldn't just improve gas mileage. It could also smooth out low-speed driving, tighten throttle response, and help with emissions compliance as regulations get stricter. Mazda's not the type to rush tech to market, so if they're finally ready to drop something new under the hood in 2026, it'll be fully baked. Mazda's been testing hybrid tech for years, and already has electrification across most of its Japan and Europe lineups. If the 2026 CX-30 taps into any of that, we're talking about a crossover that becomes more competitive with the CR-V hybrid, or even the Corolla Cross hybrid, but with better handling and more refinement. And let's be honest, if you can get better fuel economy without giving up driving feel, that's a win all day. This powertrain shift would also push Mazda even further away from the just another budget crossover crowd. If they pull this off in 2026, buyers holding out will end up with a smarter, cleaner, and more responsive daily driver, and maybe even save money long-term doing it. This time, let's move into something just as important, which is the cabin. One of the biggest gripes I've had with the current CX-30 is the tech setup. Now, don't get me wrong. The system is clean, the rotary controller feels solid, and the display looks sharp, but when you stack it next to what competitors like Hyundai or even Subaru are doing, it starts to feel like it's a step behind. Mazda's never been quick to adopt touchscreens or over-the-air updates, and that hesitation is starting to show. The 2025 CX-30 still requires wired connections for full smartphone integration, unless you go higher in the trim ladder. That's not exactly cutting edge in today's world. But based on what we've seen from the newer CX-70 and CX-90, things are finally moving in the right direction. Mazda's next-gen infotainment is touchscreen capable, better integrated, and quicker to respond. If that system finds its way into the 2026 CX-30, it'll finally bring the interior tech up to speed with the rest of the segment. That means larger screens, faster processors, and seamless wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I'm also hoping for a cleaner integration of driver data, maybe even a full digital gauge cluster with better configurability like the new CX-50 Meridian trim is rumored to get. More than just looking good, it needs to work well every day. Better voice controls, a less buried menu structure, and reliable wireless charging would go a long way. And if Mazda rolls this out across all trims instead of just the premium or turbo models, that would be a huge value boost for shoppers sitting in the mid-$30K range. Tech is no longer a luxury, it's part of daily driving. And if 2026 brings the leap we've been waiting for, Mazda could close one of the few gaps the CX-30 still has. Fortunately, Mazda has always had a knack for design, whether it's the bold curve down the shoulder line or the way they shape the grille to look like it belongs on something more expensive. Their cars tend to age better than most. And that's exactly why the 2026 CX-30 could be worth the wait. The current model still looks sharp, especially in Soul Red Crystal or Machine Gray, but Mazda has been working on some subtle updates across its SUV lineup. If those design tweaks hit the CX-30 next year, it might just jump from handsome to downright striking. I've had more than a few people ask what I was driving when I pulled up in my CX-30. It's that rare crossover that manages to look sporty without trying too hard. But with the refreshed CX-5 and CX-50 already showing off tighter headlight clusters, more sculpted front fascias, and cleaner taillight designs, you can almost predict where Mazda's heading with the CX-30. Expect slimmer LED lighting, a slightly wider stance, and maybe even a new wheel design that pushes the premium trims into luxury territory. Mazda usually saves its boldest moves for mid-cycle refreshes, and by 2026, the CX-30 will be ripe for one. The brand has also been experimenting with new paint technologies, like the Taku Manuri process used on higher-end models. If those finishes trickle down, it's not just about a new shape, it's about a finish that looks deep and rich, even after years of sun exposure. Design matters. It's what gets people into the showroom in the first place. And if the next CX-30 tightens up the body lines, adds a touch of aggression, and keeps that premium polish, it won't just blend in at the dealership, it'll stand out on the road. From the outside in, let's take a closer look at the ride, comfort, and materials that we could expect inside the cabin. Mazda's been flirting with luxury for a while now. You feel it in the way the doors shut with a soft thud, the way the armrests are actually padded, and how the buttons don't feel like cheap plastic from a parts bin. But there's still room to grow, especially if the 2026 CX-30 wants to raise the bar. The current interior already puts rivals like the HR-V, Seltos, and Crosstrek on notice, but what's coming could finally tip the scale into premium territory without the luxury badge markup. I've spent long drives in the current CX-30, and while the seats are supportive, the cushions could use just a little more give. On rougher pavement, road noise does creep in, especially on trims with larger wheels. That's where Mazda can make meaningful improvements in 2026. Better insulation, denser foam padding, and upgraded seat materials are rumored to be on the table. If they pull that off, the CX-30 could finally close the gap with compact luxury crossovers like the Q3 or X1 in ride comfort alone. What I'd love to see is trickle down from the newer CX-90 and CX-70 cabins. That means richer leather options, suede inserts, ambient lighting that actually feels modern, and softer materials on door panels and dash trims. Even small changes, like a stitched dash or a wider center armrest, go a long way in making a crossover feel like it was built for long-haul comfort. Drivers notice comfort more than anything else during day-to-day commutes. And if Mazda nails this part in the 2026 refresh, that could turn the CX-30 from a smart pick into a no-brainer for folks who want just a little more refinement in their everyday drive. If you're playing the long game with your next vehicle, timing matters more than most folks realize. Buying a car just before a major refresh might save a few bucks up front, but it usually costs you more on the back end. And when it comes to the Mazda CX-30, holding out for the 2026 model could give you the edge both in day-to-day value and long-term resale. Mazda's already known for building reliable, low-maintenance vehicles. But the newer the model year, the better it holds up in the used market. And that's not just opinion. It's backed by real market data from sources like Kelley Blue Book and iSeeCars. I've sold and traded enough vehicles to know how hard a design update can hit resale. The second a refreshed model hits dealer lots, older ones start dipping in perceived value, even if they're mechanically identical. If Mazda does roll out new tech, styling, and cabin upgrades in 2026, the 2025 CX-30 will suddenly feel dated, and you'll see that reflected in trade-in numbers almost immediately. Buyers notice screens, lighting, and fuel efficiency, before they ever ask about compression ratios or torque curves. Then there's the warranty angle. Mazda typically offers a solid 3-year or 36,000-mile basic warranty and a 5-year or 60,000-mile powertrain plan. If the 2026 model ushers in new hybrid tech or software updates, you'll likely be covered on features that won't even exist on the 2025 version. And don't forget about future-proofing. Upgrades like wireless updates or mild hybrid components may also help the car meet tightening emissions or inspection standards down the road. In short, the 2026 CX-30 isn't just the smarter pick for today. It could be the better bet 3, 5, even 7 years from now. Waiting for the 2026 Mazda CX-30 isn't just about chasing the newest thing. It's about timing your buy for maximum value, features, and long-term peace of mind. The current CX-30 already leads the pack in driving feel and interior finish, but Mazda's next move could push it into a class of its own. With strong signs of a mild hybrid system, updated tech borrowed from the CX-70, and refined styling in the pipeline, 2026 might be the year this crossover fully matures. From personal experience, buying right before a refresh always stings later. You miss out on better fuel economy, improved resale, and features that make daily driving easier. The 2026 model is shaping up to fix the few complaints people have with the current version, especially in infotainment, cabin quietness, and low-speed responsiveness. If you can hold off just a little longer, your patience could pay off in a big way. Better performance, cleaner tech, and stronger long-term value, all wrapped in a sharper, more refined design. That's not hype. That's just a smart move for anyone looking to buy once and buy right. And that's exactly why I'm holding out for the 2026 CX-30.